Good morning. How's the world today? Good morning. I've been waiting to say good morning. Let the sun come shining true. Rise and see just how the world and me have been doing without you. Good morning means that something is today. Hey, what going on, family? What it do? What it do in the loo with them poppers on poppers in the pot? And it's time to get started, cause it's time to get that money for the fine, cause you know that we got them families at the crib and we gotta feed everybody, cause we trying to live. And I ain't just trying to live, I'm trying to live good, and I'm trying to get all my peoples about the hood, and I'm trying to do my thing. And I don't know, though. I'm sorry, I'm so silly. I was born this way. Let's do it. What's happening? It's time to get geared up. It's another year of 6 figures or more to go ahead and pull up in the bank account. If you with me, go ahead and pull up in the comment section. We're going to go ahead and kick it off. Ain't nothing but a brief introduction today, but let's go ahead and get it, my people. Hey, what's going on, family? What's going on? Happy holidays, my people. What it do, what it do, what it do. We outside right now. Y'all already know how we do when it's time to come outside, man. It's money to be got, and it is people to be helped. So let's go ahead and just start cranking up the mindset. That's what this morning is all about, in all honesty. How y'all doing? I'm your boy, The Real Vince Taylor. Shout out to everybody who know me. Shout out to those who don't. And if you don't, man, let's go ahead and get to know each other. I, myself, have been with the company since 2010. And man, it ain't been nothing but success since. I ain't gonna lie, this your first year. May take a year or two to go ahead and get that ball rolling. But once the ball rolling, that thing don't stop, boy. Hallelujah. You know what I'm talking about? Ooh. So yes, let's go ahead and just talk about what it is that we're expecting, at least in the short term, for the next few days, while we mentally prepare ourselves for what is to come in the upcoming tax season. So for those who have been in the tax realm before, you already know what to expect. You already know what it is. There's going to be a whole line of people calling you up, trying to figure out when you're available. If you already been in the biz, then them people probably done already hit you up. Hey, you still doing taxes? Hey, I'm ready, but I'm going to be the first one in line. So you already know that that's pretty much how it goes. Now, what you may not know is that on an annual basis, for some reason, the tax code tends to make some changes. So what we hope to do amidst our training and even amidst the year is to keep you informed on some of the nuances that we're introduced to as we are acclimated to the slight modifications that they tend to make on an annual basis to the tax code. And we know this year's a new administration, so we don't know. It might be a bunch of crazy stuff. I'm just going to keep it real, not to get political, but last time said person went into the presidency, man, a lot of folks' taxes went up, but people didn't seem to mind too much. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens this time. Same thing. Also, we had another major hurricane. If you're one of these, if you're like me down in the southeast of the United States, we had Hurricane Milton and a couple of others. So there's also the potential to investigate with clientele as to whether or not they qualify for casualties and losses and things of that sort. But I digress. That's tech stuff for in the future. Let me make sure y'all can hear me, right? Just want to make sure. Yep. Okay, cool. So I just wanted to say, here's what we need now. All right. Right now, in the short term, in the interim, in the little bit of time we got before 2025 kick on in, what we need now is to prep the mindset. What that means? That means if you are a 9-to-5er and you're planning to add this to your repertoire, it means that we got to go ahead and start deciding exactly how much time we're going to allocate, because tax preparation, in my opinion, now look, I'm sure there's people out there who are going to prove me wrong and that'll say I'm crazy, but in my opinion, tax preparation will give you the full potential of its service, of the type of job that it is, of the type of career it is, when you dedicate your full time to it. I know a lot of folks who try to kind of like, oh, well, I'm gonna do the 9-to-5 thing, I'm gonna keep my career, but I'm gonna try to do a little tax on the weekend here and there. And yeah, you get what you get out of that, because you can't unfortunately invest your full time into it. So yeah, you might make some extra money and you might be able to pay some extra bills and maybe even go on a couple extra trips, buy some extra Christmas gifts, get some birthdays, all that good stuff. And that's fine if that's what you want. But if you want life-changing money, if you want I quit my job money, if you want, okay, I want to purchase another property money, then I believe that requires a full-time investment. Now, here's the thing. Full-time in our line of work is January through May, okay? It still continues for the rest of the year, but that's our hard work season, all right? It doesn't mean that we don't still work hard outside of those months, but those are the months that it's kind of like, I'm a baseball fan. It's like season is in, you work harder in the season, and you take a little, so you still go to the batting cage in the off season. You still toss the ball around in the off season, but during football season, during baseball season, during basketball season, during cuffing season, that's when you're at your highest. Am I right? So now it is tax season. It is amongst us. So that means that we got to go ahead and start hitting the batting cage. We need to go ahead and start hitting the gym and shooting them hoops, making sure that our shot is still on point. That means we got to go ahead and do our research and make sure that some of these things that we've been using in the past few years are still applicable to these current years. We also need to make sure that we are in touch with the clientele that have built our empires, okay? I don't know about y'all, but I keep close tabs with my clients. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know them on the first name basis. They call me, hey, what up, Todd? Are you ready? Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Because I want them to feel a personal connection, like we family, like I'm your boy. You know what I'm saying? Not like, oh, it's time to do taxes. Who we gonna find this year? No, this is our guy. My barber, my mechanic, and my tax guy. Those are people that I know I'm gonna see on an annual basis. Maybe my doctor too. You know what I'm saying? But different taxes. So, if you don't already know where you will be preparing taxes, now's the time to figure that out. If you don't already know how you will be preparing taxes, because you need a computer. You ain't gonna be sitting in front of me with no phone or no iPad. Yeah, you can do the iPad thing. It's cute, right? But are you presenting yourself the way you wish you were presented to? Something to ask yourself. All right. Also, who's your team? Have they been selected? Are you a part of a team? Are you a team member or a team leader? What are your aspirations? What are your goals? I want to figure that out now. Because now is the time to start putting those things into action. Because they ain't going to do it themselves. Now, look, some folks start from a lower level, entry level, I should say, and then become leaders as they progress. Some folks start off bona fide leaders. And if you are a bona fide leader, that means you got to carry a lot of this water right now, okay? Because for you have to not only make sure you all right, but that your office is all right, that your staff is all right, advisory and clientele, most importantly, is all right. So let's just make sure that you have this in mind. A few things that you have to have as we progress right now. One of the first things you got to have before you even start talking about doing taxes in 2025 is your tax system, okay? Now, those of you all who know, we work on the GAAP tax system. If you're unfamiliar, I highly recommend you start to familiarize yourself with it immediately, because this is something you're going to see on a daily basis. It's going to be how you get your work done, basically. And if you don't already have it, then it's probably a good time to start downloading, or at least going. I don't think you even have to download. I think it's just available online. Let me just go ahead and show you a little bit of what it looks like for those who are unfamiliar. If you have done taxes before, you probably have seen the screen that shows BIM. It looks a little something like this, okay? All right, so this is where we're going to be doing a lot of taxes. So get yourself familiar. Let me go ahead and scoop this in for the visually impaired like myself. If you can't see it a little better now. All right, so we're going to put in our client, and this is where we're going to process their file. As you see, like last year, typically I try to feed my own record. Let's see how we did last year. All right, 548, not too bad. Going for that 6 this year, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get the Juan Soto numbers, you know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to jump in that fun. I'm trying to talk these But yeah, man, this is what we're going to be working on, okay? In addition to this, we got to make sure that right about now, our clients are going to start calling, asking us what it is I need for tax season. Well, you need your W-2. That might help, okay? And we're going to need your license. all right, stuff like that, probably social security card, all right, because we trying to be simply the best this year, and we will settle for nothing less. So please, let's go ahead and start getting these things in order. How am I going to reach you? Do you have cards? Do you have marketing materials? Are you out there putting flyers out? Because now is the time. How people gonna know to come to your office if they don't know your office exists? How they gonna know to utilize your services if they don't know your services exist? Come on, tighten up, y'all. Let's go ahead and get this stuff in order. And in addition to that, man, it is time to rack out what I call your clientele contact list. For my return tax preparers, you already know what it is. You've been contacted at least by a few of your clients already. But the other ones who haven't contacted you, they still wondering as well. It's because they ain't reached out, don't mean that they ain't thinking about you already. So now is a good time to start gymming up that list, figuring out how it is we can contact everybody on this list so that we can make sure they know where I'm at, how to reach me, and how to send me their information or bring it to me so we can make sure that it is processed appropriately. You get what you need out of your tax preparation. I get what I need out of the expenses or the fees that we charge, and everybody walks away happy. So yes, now would be the good time to have your contact list at the bare minimum prepared, or at least to start working on it. Now, if you use a system like ours, okay, I'll show you a real neat trick here. Excuse me. You use this system, which we're not getting into this now. Today is not a technical day. Today is an introductory day, and I ain't gonna be here for a couple more minutes, y'all. So we just gonna do a little quick background. Hallelujah, but this is what I'm trying to show y'all real quick. For those who are actually going to start looking up the people and giving them a call, you can go to your Gap, right? And you can go to your main menu, all right? You can go to your reports, and you can go to your how am I getting right? I haven't done this in a minute. Where you know what? I probably should have. I know it's in reports. Yeah, other data reports using it. Okay, yeah, here it is. Yeah, marketing report. So if I go here, I can actually see the phone numbers, the names, and the cities, the email addresses of all of the clients that I want to go ahead and start contacting. All right, it's right here. You know, it's right here. I'll even lower myself a little bit. You can see, excuse me, so sick. Everybody located right here. You can expand a little bit. And what I like to do, it's not going to show it on the screen. It's going to take you to a different place. What I tend to do is I'll go to this list, right? And then I will go to the very bottom of it. Depending on how productive you are, it might be longer than others. And at the bottom, they give you the option to save it as a CSV file, Excel, PDF, HTML. I tend to opt for the CSV file. All right, and then the CSV file will come up and it'll look really, really cool. I mean, a lot more easy, in my opinion, to kind of read than the screen itself. Let me give you a shot of what that looks like. Looks a little something like this, if I may. Yeah. Oh, wait. One second, guys. Let me pull this correctly because it has to be the actual window. There we are. All right, I'll talk about that. Let's keep this going. A little graphic for you. All right, so here we have it. This is my clientele list. Don't be stealing my clients. I see y'all looking a little too hard. Calm down. All right, I can scroll down this, and what I will do in the next few days is we will have our staff start to contact these folks, make them aware of the fact that, hey, we know what time it is, and we know you know what time it is. Here's where we are. Here's how we can be reached. And just so you know, we're also offering an advance of X amount of dollars. Typically, I think it's about $7,500 it was maybe last year. So if you want it real fast, for those folks who need that money, I need that money, Frankie, set it off type thing. Like, they're going to be looking for you to come through on January 1st, even though I think that's a weekend day. All right. For those folks who need that money right now because the light's going to get cut off, we have those advances available. So you come in on day one with your W-2 preferably. All right. And we may be able to work something out where you can get up to, I think, $700 or $7,500. I don't know the exact number yet. But it's normally around that amount. If it's more than that, hallelujah, it's even better. Okay. So this is what we want to start doing, because in this moment right now, for those who are not in your personal contact list, they are already looking, hunting, shopping for who it is that they're going to give money to help them get their money. You know, that's one of the best things about our industry, especially for those who actually get returns. I know everybody doesn't get returns. I know there's folks that are outside the tax bracket and that are just obligated to pay on an annual basis, even though we can try to keep it as minimal as possible. But there are folks who just annually, at least up to a certain amount of time, will get checks, and they will hire you to help them get the check. And the beauty of it is they money, like they don't mind if you are treated to a little bit of the money that they're getting back, as long as you help them increase that amount legitimately, of course. So this is where you come in. They're not just looking for somebody always. Now, there's a few different types of tax clients. All right. There's the Januaries. All right. The Januaries is the ones who, right now, as we speak, they cannot wait to get their taxes back. Like, they need that money immediately. It is an annual salary for them. There's nothing to do with having to get the taxes done because they need to do it obligationally. It's because I know I can get some money from this, and I need that money right now. The bills is due. Things is behind. I should not have spent all that money on Christmas. I should not have went on that trip to Dubai knowing I couldn't afford it, but I wanted to take the pictures and it's on the gram and it looked good and I got the likes I wanted, but now I need that money back, Frankie. I need that money back. Don't miss your January folks. They're going to be the most impatient people out of all the folks that you deal with, because they don't just need the money. They need the money now. So if you got to get that stuff right for them, get ready. Then you got your Februaries. These are the folks a little more patient. I'm going to wait till I get my W-2. I'm going to get till I get everything in order, all that good stuff. And a little less of the monotony with these folks. But you'll always find somebody a little special amidst any group. And then finally, my favorite, the March and Aprilers, the folks that are patient, the ones that are like, look, man, I got to get this done, but I ain't tripping. It'll get done when it's time to get done. And if I can get some money back, great. If not, as long as I got it done and maybe ain't got to pay that much, or don't have to necessarily pay as much as they want me to, or maybe if you can find a way to maybe find some legitimate deductions that I could utilize that'll make it so that this is a little bit more advantageous for me or more beneficial, and I'd be severely thankful for that, then yeah. Those are the folks that I tend. And then, oh man, my favorite. I said that was my favorite, but my real favorite are the April folks. The ones that come in like, is it too late to get my done? No, slide ain't too late, and I don't have to rush. They're not so mad and so angry and so ready to get it done right now and upset when you skip the money and it's not in their account the very next day. Yeah, I tend to walk a little closer to the patient folks, but I digress. They all on the list, and they're all just as important. Either way, we want to be prepared for them, right? So for the first batch, the Januaries, man, you better have your stuff in order. And here's the sad part about the January. Sometimes you have to be prepared for the IRS and the Department of Treasury to make modifications in their tax code amidst the tax season, which is the ugliest, most egregious thing that they can do, but they've done it before. I remember one year we were in the middle of tax season and they decided they were going to make a modification to the 8863 school credit, which made it so that in addition to us having to ask what school they went to, but we also had to have the EIN number for the school and the address. And we was like, yo, we didn't have to do this in January. Why we got to do it in April? But it happens sometimes. I remember when they finally decided to put the unemployment that they were taxing after COVID, because people had unemployment because they were fired because their jobs didn't let them come to work because it's COVID. But the IRS was still taxing unemployment. You know what I'm saying? They were still taxing unemployment. And so they decided midway through the year, through the tax season, oh, you know what? We're going to reimburse those who did get taxed for unemployment. And going forward, anybody who earned more than $18,000 in unemployment compensation on a 1099-G, they no longer have to be taxed for anything. Oh, I'm sorry. It was under $10,000. They don't have to, and they inflicted that in the middle of the season. So now you got people coming in at the beginning that were there in January saying, yo, I had unemployment. How come I got taxed and dude that filed in March didn't? That happens every now and then. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is be prepared, man. The IRS will switch things up. Yo, okey doke. Yo, Charlie Brown with the football. It happens. But your job is to be knowledgeable, is to be the one that understands that this happens, to be the one that knows, oh yeah, this happens. No big deal. I get it. It's not going to impact you as detrimentally as you may be thinking. Okay? So just be prepared for that. To start wrapping this up, because this is a general, quick pitch and rally All right. Let's just go down the list of some of the things that you're going to need to get yourself started. White list, I'm trying to make this a note-free day because I know how it can be. Sometimes trying to absorb a lot of information and not have notes on it. Okay. So before I just start, wrapping off a bunch of stuff that everybody forgets, let's just stick with the simplicity of it and go over some of the things that I think we can all easily agree are going to be helpful and advantageous for to utilize in the tax season. Okay. Number one, I already said it. You need some sort of electronic device. Highly recommend using a laptop. All right. Laptops are best. All right. Maybe, excuse me, I don't even say laptop, computer. I would not be comfortable, specifically myself, if I only had an iPad or an iPhone. iPads can look a little more professional because I know you can put the keyboard with it now. You can set it up and all of that. And if you're at Starbucks, that's fine and dandy. But I think folks are a little more comfortable when you sit down in front of a computer rather than, again, iPads. You know what? That's personal preference. Let me get out of my personal. Let me get out of my inner. You know what I'm saying? All right. Another thing you have to have, and this is so important, like these are not obligational. These are not negotiable. These are necessary. You need to have a goal. You got to have a goal. All right. What is your goal with the tax season? Are you transitioning from full-time employment to self-employment? Are you looking to be financially free, independent, financially sound, financially stable, financially free and financially stable? Completely different, by the way. Stable is I got my bills paid. Free is I'll be in the islands for the summer. Don't nobody call me. All right? And the bills will be paid because I'm out here looking for real estate. Big difference between stable and free. What you want to be? Free? So you got to have your goals and not general goals. All right? I'm big on not being generic. I want to be successful. I want to have a lot of money and I want to have a big house. No, I need to make $250,000 and I need a $500,000 home by 2026. And I need that $250,000 in my bank account by July 31st. We need goals with actual, with measurables. We need to be able to look back and say, did I hit my goal? I'm just going to keep it real. Successful, that's very subjective. We can all say we're successful. It's about being here. We've successfully lived up until this moment. But we want to define success, if that's your goal, through a number. All right? Through a date, through something that's actually tangible. Not through a general mindset of, I just want to be successful. I want you to be successful too, but define success. And let's aim for that definition of success to achieve that goal rather than some arbitrary, made up, I just want this to be something that works out for me and the family. It's going to be, but how much do you want? You have to, listen, I'm going to tell you, for me, my first goal, right, after leaving programming and engineering to join the world of taxes and accounting and bookkeeping, my first goal, was just to make six figures. I just wanted to be a six-figure earner. I thought that was the top of the world. Like, all I want to do is make six figures. All right? And once that goal was met, and I realized, okay, that's great, but, 60% of that goes to expenses. But I need to double that. All right? I need 2 pots full of six figures. And then it just increases from there. But it starts with that first defined goal. And boy, I'm gonna tell you right now, you can ask Miss B too, man. Look, bro, when I'm screwed, man, I wanted my money. I was like, look at here. I wanted to be somewhere in Prague with the wife, celebrating birthdays on a rooftop overlooking the European, somewhere maybe in Africa, in Ghana, out in Accra, doing my little thug thizzle, man. Anybody trying to stay in the States, man? It's crazy in the States. But yeah, I wanted to go ahead and give myself up to the car. Hallelujah. So yes, that is what we do. And yeah, man, Vic, this is what we're gonna do this year as well. Let's go ahead and make it happen. Okay? But it takes planning. It takes a lot of work as well. So have your goal. What is your goal? Yes, this is an intentional pause. It's a pregnant one, but I want you to be thinking of your answer, because I may just ask you to answer for us publicly sometime in the next few days as we do our marketing. All right, the next thing you need is a team. Need a team. Need a team. All right, I'd love to tell you can do it by yourself. And listen, I'm not trying to shortchange you. I'm sure you're capable of doing it by yourself. But I'm gonna be honest, it's not as easy to do it by yourself as it is to do, and I don't mean to say that it is easy with a team, but let me say this the right way. It will be a lot more beneficial for anyone who's looking to be successful in this business to have as many trustworthy hands in their circle as possible, because this is a business that requires more than 2 hands on deck. Right? It's hard to schedule the appointments and do the appointments at the same time. It's hard to answer the calls and make the call at the same time. Right? It's hard to do the taxes and also file everything appropriately, digitally, electronically, and in person, meaning putting forms in files, making copies. It's hard to do all that and still juggle each client personally. So I think a good team is extremely advantageous. I want to say that it's a necessity, but I have seen folks do it solo because they have the proper setup. It depends. So I don't want to shortchange anybody who is out there doing it as a one-man orchestra. But if you are looking to invest, and I mean like not just time, but all of your energy, I think that it'll be best for you to spread that energy around so that you don't get burnt out. Because burnout is a real thing, man. And sometimes it'll hit you before the end of the tax season. You want to moderate that as best you can. And I think a good team is also going to help you with that. Next thing, clear communication. Clear communication. Clear communication is huge. What do I mean by that? It means nobody should be wondering where you are at the beginning of the tax season. Nobody should be wondering how to get in touch with you. And your team should not be wondering what's going on with tax season. Your client should not be wondering when are you going to start. Nobody should be wondering anything because you have communicated clearly what the plan is. Now's the time to put those plans into action. For me, it might be, okay, we are starting our office. Open day is January 1st. All those who have W-2s will be allowed to come in on day 1. If you don't have a W-2, you're still welcome to come, but we need you to get that W-2 as soon as possible because we don't look to process any files before we have them for accuracy purposes. That's how audits happen, but that's down the line. I know we want to say, come on in, bring your last pay stub, and I still do that. I definitely do, but I tend to use the last pay stub as a gauge, and then I try to sell them on the fact that, yes, we can get this money, but it'll be best, depending on how complex the W-2 is, it'd be best wait for that W-2 to make sure that it syncs up. You don't want to have them kickbacks. They will happen sooner than later, as they didn't used to be like that, but that's something that's going to happen. I've already said the 4th one was the plan, all right? And so hopefully you've already put that into place and at least have thought about that. The other one, which we'll go over in the future as well, which is the most important element of tax season, hands down, full stop, more important than your tax knowledge, more important than your client list, is marketing. All right? Because marketing is how you get the client list. And I probably should have said that. It's not more important than your client list. Marketing is your client list. Okay? Because once again, I can't look. You can have the best cookies on this side of the Mason-Dixon line, but if don't nobody know your shop exists, you're gonna be a broke cookie store. If you are the best basketball player on the East Coast, nobody's gonna know it if you haven't approached anybody about your talent. If you want to be the best actor, the best fighter pilot, the best engineer, the best cheerleader, whatever it is, nobody will know about it if you keep it in silence. All right? I mean, for my folks out there that are spiritual, hide it under a bushel, no. I'm going to let it shine. better let it shine right now, bro, because ain't nobody gonna know. You are amidst a horde of tax preparers. All right, and I don't just mean the H&Rs, I don't just mean the Jackson Hewitts, I don't just mean the big name. I mean the mom and pops. Just drive down any of your main streets any time of year. You're gonna see 4-5 tax offices. They might just be called tax office. It might not be nothing special. It might just be called tax. But those folks have a built-in clientele list. And until you have one that's as deep as you want it to be, marketing is priority number one. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm not as good at this story, but somebody used to tell us a story about how a dude came over from Italy and had the best produce, the best ingredients, and he used to have everything ready to sell, the best Italian food. But he was losing business to the African dude around the corner who had never been to Italy, who wasn't even using fresh produce, only because the African dudes around the corner was hustling, putting out flyers on the cars, taking flyers and taking these menus up to buildings where they were having work conferences, and they actually were putting the word out. And even though the food wasn't nearly as good or authentic as the Italian guy, the work was good. Hallelujah. So, if the folks don't know, if you don't paint them streets with your, how they gonna know to come holler at you? Now, once you get that ball rolling, word of mouth, whew, that's the best advertiser in my opinion. But who gonna tell somebody? Who gonna tell people about you? They don't know about you. You need to paint the city red. All right, paint the town red with your flyer, your marketing, or your online marketer, the digital thing. And it is. They need to know before the W-2 hits their mailbox, before they actually start to walk out the door to go get their tax. Then they need to have your name in their head. At least, at bare minimum, as either an option or a second opinion. So marketing is necessary. We already went over the electronics, laptop, computers, all that. You need that. Flyers, part of marketing. But next, I think that is appropriate to discuss also some of the items necessary to facilitate a really good office experience for those who will be coming into offices. I think you need to have your printer, scanners, especially scanners nowadays. I've moved to more of a virtual preparation mode, but I still go into both of my office spaces on a weekly basis. But when they come into the office, some folks they ain't tech savvy. You know, there's one thing to have, you know, little Johnny Romano, but this Hattie Williams, all right, who ain't never touched a computer, who tries to fax things. She might need a little help when she brings in all of her receipts and every one of her bills. We gotta copy this stuff. We gotta copy it, scan it, and put it into a digital drive. We'll get into that process a little bit later as well. But these are things that I think would be very helpful for you. All right, so consider those. Let me just go back over those real quick. Goals, specific goals, not general goals. Specific goals, numeric goals with dates and dollar signs. A friend of mine used to say, "A goal without a number is a slogan," or something like that. I'm probably butchering that, but you get the point. All right, you need your team, clear communication. You need your plan, marketing. You need your laptop, computer, not your phone. I'm sorry, I'm never gonna cape to. Phone is a last minute option. Do not have people come into your office and you whip out your phone. I'm not going to be forgiven. I don't feel bad about saying that. I would not want to go to you if you're doing your taxes. If you're doing my taxes on your phone, I'd be like, I can do this myself. All right. I don't care how much money. Even if you do well for me that year, I'm like, nah, this dude ain't ready. Okay. You got to have at least in my opinion, a sense of professionalism, and I just don't think doing tax on a phone for a client rather than a friend is professional. Set marketing, right? Laptop, computers, flyers, printer, scanner, things like that, and a shredder because you don't want to keep anything with a social security number on it in your office lying around willy-nilly. Okay, so these are some good things. But before I go and start to wrap this up, let me go over some necessities. All right, these are things that you have to have. You must have in order to prepare taxes. These are not optional. These are things that you have to have. If you don't have these things, it may or may not work for you in the long run. I don't never like to generalize because you never know. People can do a lot of things with very little. So let me not say it won't work, but I just say it might be a little more difficult if you don't have these things. Number one, you must have, in order for you to work, you must have a number called a P10. It's a P10. It stands for Preparer of Taxes Identification Number. A P10. Okay? A P10 you can get online at irs.gov. All right? You go to irs.gov/P10. And for those who are unfamiliar, if you haven't already gotten this, let me give you a quick overview as to where you can get this type of thing. So if you just go to the irs.gov website, it looks similar to this right here. All right, and then you'll see this screen. All right, at the irs.gov website. If you haven't gotten your P10 yet, and you know what, I'll do you a favor. I'll go back here and irs.gov. You see me typing that in the top, irs.gov. Click that, it brings you to this website. And here I'm just going to type in P10. That's simple. P10, Preparer Tax Identification Number. And then I'll go here to either renew or log in, or to create to get my new P10. If you haven't already done this, you cannot process any taxes without a P10. It's impossible. You can't do it. It's the number that they use to make sure they have a way to keep track of your tax preparation. What does that mean? That means this is basically going to function kind of like even like this. For every tax file that you process, it will be under this P10. So the IRS decides to say, hey, let's check in on Jimmy Smith today. And they can go through all of the tax that you prepared, and it's all because they have all of the ones that you prepared under this one P10 number. So it's kind of like your personal history of all taxes prepared in one place. So you want to be careful. Be careful, okay? Because at any point they could just bring up all of your tax preparation history, and if it looks suspect, you find yourself at the butt of some ugly audits, and I don't want to see that happen to anybody. Let's try to keep that down. All right, so this is what you're going to see in the event of you registering for your P10. If you have not already looked to get your P10, now is the time. This is something that you will need. So let's not take it lightly. Also, all right, y'all tell me, because I'm wrestling. This is I'm using this list again, but I have on here, as I've had in the past, office space. I've got office space on here, and I do believe office space is a necessity. I do, and maybe I should not have this thought process in real time while we're talking to y'all, but I'm also of the belief at this point that office space may not be a necessity. It may not be a necessity. And by that, I don't mean you shouldn't have a professional spot like this. This is one thing. And by the way, this is green screen. I don't live here. Somebody said this on the broadcast last week. I'm like, oh my God, it looks so nice. I'm like, well, does this look nice? How about this? Yeah. Or maybe here. Maybe this is nice. Okay, we'll do it from the TIE Fighter somewhere in the galaxy. Nah, but you definitely want to stay professional. I just was thinking, like, I don't know if having an office space, and the reason I say that is because virtual preparations are real now. Like, I'm looking at the commercials for like H&R Block or like TurboTax, and those folks, they're doing everything virtually. Like, they do the FaceTime call. They don't even have folks coming into the office. So I guess my point is, it's not necessary to have an in-person office space. I will continue to cater to those that want to come in person because I think that they're more plentiful. And I think that there's a generation of folks who are only going to know I take my taxes up to the tax office to get them prepared. So I will continue to have anchor spots for folks to come into. But in terms of office space, I'm leaning towards some folks have just been doing share spaces. And so that's why I'm like leaning away from like having to have a lease put down on an office space that you're paying for, even in the off season, just for the sake of preserving. When somebody comes in, you can rent a room for an hour or a day. I think things have changed since COVID a little bit. So as much as I still think office space is a necessity, I don't think that it's something that you have to have in order to have success in this business. That makes sense. I know a couple of my friends that do taxes that don't have office spaces. They just do shared spaces for the tax season. They just go, and then they have a yeah, Bishop. But they don't have necessarily these rented leases that like myself and like B, like we're at the same building for like 10 years, and you can come see us. They go to a different spot. Their clients contact them in December, and where are you going to be this year? And then they meet them up at this this shared space area, and they kill it. So I'm going to modify this to say office space, or at least temporary space. Somewhere at least I think it's necessary to have an option for anybody who does want to meet in person with you. All right, because sometimes it's too much information to scan and put through the email. Just keep that in mind. Just to run through a couple of real quick electronic necessities. Computer, we've gone through that. Printer, of course. But internet access, necessity. We're using a web-based system. That means you cannot process these taxes if you don't have internet. Unless you have, and once again, we're going back to the phone, but 5G, LTE, all that stuff is cute. But internet is great. It keeps the internet connected with the printer. It keeps the system with the printer and the computer connected. That's a good thing as well. So let's keep that in mind. Internet access, that's not a negotiable. That is a necessity. Stationary, even if you are working from home, you probably want to have you a pen or two, or a screwdriver, or a pencil. You know what I'm saying? You want to have your paper, your ink. All that stuff needs to be on at least the list for things to purchase before the season starts. You don't want somebody sitting at your desk and you go to print something out and you're like, dang, we out of ink, bro. Dang, we ain't got no more paper. You know what I'm saying? So these are some things we want to keep in mind. This one I hold near and dear because this is one that I had to actually evolve on. But I'm going to say, and I'm going to be careful about this, professional attire, okay? Professional attire. Now, it's your office. It's your thing. You can do what you want. You can show up in basketball shorts and a white beater if you like. But I'm going to tell you something. Your people going to think about you a certain way, and they're going to talk about you a certain way once you walk out that office. And in my opinion, it's best for them to walk away with the best impression possible. They should feel the same way, if not more. Like they're more surrounded by professionalism when they come into your office or contact you or see you online, as opposed to when they see the barrage of commercials, the barrage of different advertisements for other places that have been in business a lot longer than you. So you have to do a little bit more to make sure that you are safeguarded in their minds as not only a professional, but somebody who's trustworthy enough to do a better job on their file than the people that they see on their TV screens and when they scroll through Instagram. Okay? We got to make sure we got that in place. So that means if you're like me, you probably want to at least look like the accountant that you want to walk whose office you would prefer to walk into. Now, I say that takes an evolution for me because when I first started, I tried to keep it business casual. You know what I'm saying? And I still will have my button-down jeans days, but I also would do hats and, you know what I'm saying, every now and then the t-shirt under the blazer. And I've since moved on from that. Well, at the time I was also working under people, and since then I've kind of under B's tutelage graduated to kind of running my own organization along with you. But yeah, I think that may have. I remember a couple folks coming into my office, and I had a little Kangol on, and I had it tucked to the side a little bit. You know what I'm saying, doing a little thing, and some of them people didn't come back, and I don't know if that was why. I don't know if that was why or not, but I'm not willing to risk it anymore, is all I'm saying, you know. So let's keep it around. Hey, what's going on, guys? All right, so the last three things, and these things are just as important as all the others that we discussed. The first and the last list of three underneath professional attire is education. All right, you gotta have your education. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta know what you're talking about. All right. The overwhelming majority of people that are coming to you to do their taxes, most of them know how to do taxes. Right? If you're being realistic with yourself, and you know that in order to do taxes nowadays, it's not the same as it used to be. It's not going to get the piece of paper and writing things down. No, you go to TurboTax and it'll ask you, what does it say on line 1 of your W-2? What does it say on line 7 of your W-2? Are you married? Are you single? Do you have any deductions? Okay, here's your tax return. Like, they make it that simple. You can even get your taxes done for free on irs.gov, which is probably the least attractive place to get it done. But there's no secret that taxes, as of now, are almost like gas. You can self-service yourself. But they want to come to you because you know what you're doing, because you know more than what they know. Because when they put it in on their own, they're not happy with the results. And they want to go to somebody who actually can appropriately, legitimately, and through knowledge and education, coach them or show them or for them, prepare their taxes in a manner that'll make it more beneficial for them, or at least less hurtful if they owe a lot. You know, the whole purpose of your existence in the tax realm is to provide them something that they can't provide for themselves, and that is knowledge through the system. And if you don't have it, it'll be hard for you to provide it when the time comes. Amen. So this is basic training. After basic training, there will be more that may be on your shoulders as an adult. You have to learn in the event you find yourself a little lost, right? Because nobody, I don't care how long they've been in the business, knows everything, especially because things change on an annual basis. Okay? So education, I'm talking about you need to know what a W-2 is versus a 1099. You need to know what a K-1065 is as opposed to a K-1. You need to know how to use passive income or how to stay away from passive income if it's not efficient. You need to know when to utilize Schedule C deductions as opposed to Schedule A deductions. Are Schedule A deductions even necessary? You need to know when they're giving the appropriate information. They say they withdrew something from their tax, from the IRA or from the retirement. Then you need to see a 1099-R in their income information. Otherwise, when they get their taxes 3 months later, when they get the IRS letter saying, "Hey, by the way, we noticed you forgot to include this $38,000 that you withdrew from your retirement, but don't worry, we did it for you. Now you owe us $5,000." You need to know that happened as a result of not requesting the appropriate information. We have to be knowledgeable, more so than what the internet or what TurboTax is going to do for these folks. So education is a must. Darn near, dare I say, it may be more important than anything else short of the people. Education is a must. And we'll go over that, and we're going to help with some of that as well. What's the that? And second to last is a positive attitude. This is so important. In fact, it is so important. I'm going to die this time. There was only one child on this. This right here. This is the beat. This is the thing that makes the difference between men and boys, between women and girls, is the positive attitude aspect. And I just had to shut this down for a second just to say, like, this could make or break you, because you could seriously be in your second month of preparing taxes and only have 5 or 6 clients, and you will decide that the tax industry sucks. You'll decide that nobody's out to help you. You'll decide that the world is against you. You'll decide you weren't set up for success. But in actuality, it's the mindset, the positive attitude. The fact of the matter is, if something like this happens, then all that is necessary in this moment is a little bit more motivation, because all tax preparation requires is clientele and education, and a way to do the taxes. Obviously, you got to have your computer, got to have all that stuff. But if you have people coming to you, it doesn't matter. The people have to come. That is the ultimate thing. You cannot fail if you know what you're doing and people are coming to you. So positive attitudes are necessary. And that also means if you're doing stuff with your client is frustrating you, you don't let that seep into your relationship with that client. You know how many troubled and how many problem clients we have, how many are hard to figure out, how many will bug you to death, how many will call you and ask you simple things, how many will ask you for forms that you've given them multiple times. You cannot allow these things to affect your attitude. You must stay positive. Remember, our industry allows us to do a year's worth of work in 4 months. So you're going to get that year's worth. It doesn't mean you're just working a shorter year. You're working a year's worth of work. It's going to feel like a year. But the moment you let it infiltrate your mindset and take away the positivity aspect, then that's when you B&B and others in this industry. Shout out to Shay, Sharice, and Sharonda and everybody up in Georgia and everybody in all these other places. But yo, we've seen people come that had the talent, had the capability, but they just could not let some of the things that get difficult get past them. They could not let it, they just couldn't get past it. And they also of the mindset that somebody else should be doing something. In all things, in my opinion, especially because this is a business that it tends to bleed into those of us who are in it having your own business. All right. You got to be ready to do whatever is necessary to do it on your own. All right. Help is there to help, but it's not there always in a capacity that you may wish for it to be. So you got to keep your head up. Got to stay positive. All right. You got to stay positive. There's so many ways to be deterred. Excuse me. So many ways to be deterred. So many ways to be thrown off track. So many ways to be discouraged. The moment you allow that discouragement to take root and metastasize in your mindset, man, it can. And let me just tell you from personal experience as I wrap things up here. There was when I first came into this realm, I didn't want to do it. I'm just keeping it real. Like this is not what I planned on doing. It's not what I went to school for. But afterwards, when I learned how beneficial and how financially lucrative it was, I was like, all right, let's go ahead and put our foot in it. So I did it for a few years. Then there came a year or two where I felt complacent. I was like, all right, whatever. We'll do a little something. We won't. We will. We won't. I felt a little discouraged. I felt like I wasn't really going nowhere. And those years, it reflected in my check. I remember seeing my income go down one year, and that should never happen. That should never happen in this realm. I'm always, and you should always be adding clients. Since I think 2014, I've never had a year which my clientele base went down. But there was one year that happened. One year that I decided to take it slow. I decided to say, I ain't complain about a bunch of stuff. Sit on my hands, not promote, not market, not do anything. And that was the 1 year I think I dropped in salary. And I was like, oh, never again. And since then, it's been nothing but pounding. Now, fortunately, it's been over a decade since I've been in biz. So I have a pretty established clientele list. But anytime I'm ready to expand, I already know it'll take but a couple steps. Marketing, marketing, marketing. All right. And the last one, which isn't even one that I put on here, it says faith. Now, there are some faithful folks out there, most of which I believe do adhere to certain beliefs. But I just want to say, in addition to that, I will allow you to expound on that, and you and B and others. But I think that faith, in addition to what your spiritual guidance is, but faith in your ability to do this as well is very, very, very necessary. You have to have faith that this is something that you will be able to achieve. I don't want you sitting there saying like, oh man, well, we gonna see what happens. No, I need you to be like, look, when I get this 6 figures, because I done put this money in, put this work in, when I get this new house, when I get this office, when I get these 100 clients, this is what's going to happen. That faith of knowing, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. You got to make it happen. It's the evidence. You are the evidence. You got to make it happen. You got to have that faith. But they say, hey, go ahead, comment section. I'm going to throw this one out there. Faith without works is what? I'll hold. Faith without works is what? I'll wait. I know my crowd. I know who I'm talking to. Faith without works is what? Thank you. So if we ain't trying to kill your business, we don't want your business or your bank account to die. We want it to have everlasting life, which is in the form of generational wealth. And so for that, you got to go ahead and be prepared, man. Got to be prepared. So let's run down that list one more time real quick for the people in the back who may not have had a chance to speak or hear everything we said. And then we're going to go ahead and meet up briefly again tomorrow. Then we'll start our modules sometime here pretty soon, okay? So let's go ahead and take one more look at that. Let's go ahead and jump on bite. This right here and here are some of the things that we discussed. All right, so you got to have your P10, guys. Like I said, we mentioned office space. But like I said before, office space could look a little different now than it used to. Okay. We also got the obvious printer, electronics, computer, stuff like that. Internet access a must. Stationery, pencils, pens, ink, printer, paper, stuff like that. Business attire. All right. Professional looking. You want to look the way you wished somebody looked when you came into their office. To take your extremely personal information, including your social, your birth date, your bank account information, your overall income. That's some real personal stuff, y'all. All right. Education, necessity. You have to know the difference between income that comes from retirement and income that comes from a W-2 and income that comes from self-employment and income that comes as a gift. You got to know these things. You got to know what to do with the 1098-T form and what to do with the 1098-E form. You got to know what to do if somebody has a rental property and what it is you do with the Schedule E versus the Schedule C. You got to know these things, because this is why people come to you instead of letting TurboTax plug and chug everything and it just be whatever. All right. Positive attitude. Do not let the days that will come, that will be more difficult, that will be strenuous, that will be stressful. Don't let those days mess you up. And the days of lack of production for those who are just entering the biz, who have yet to get that 100 deep clientele list, which, by the way, that should be your first goal, to get that 100 if you haven't already established a bare minimum of 100, because 100 will continue. Once you hit that 3-digit clientele list, that's going to metastasize. That's going to flourish. It's going to grow. It's going to sprout into another 200 easily, because word of mouth, because you're going to tell all of your clients, hey, have I helped you out? Was that really helpful? Well, the way you can help me rather than thanking me is to send me people. Whenever somebody asks or mentions they're doing taxes, just drop my name in there. You know what? I'll even give you a little bit of a token of appreciation as a result of doing so. These are tactics that are used. You think that Jackson Hewitt puts that $25 off coupon in the back of all of those little yellow pages joints for no reason? $25, they know darn well $25 ain't nothing compared to the thousands of dollars they're going to be charging that person. But it's how they get people to come in, because they like saving. Okay? So, positive, I don't know what that had to do with positive attitude, but whatever. All right. You get the point, right? So keep that positive attitude. And of course, like we said, the faith with the works. You got to have the faith that you will be able to do this. This can't be just me saying you can do this. It's got to be you saying that you can do this, because you are the one who's going to ultimately do it, right? You are the one that's ultimately going to do it. So remember, guys, these are some necessities. Make sure you have your goal, you got your team, your clear communication, your plan, your marketing, laptop, computer, flyers, which should go with marketing as well, printer, scanner, shredder. Some of this stuff is redundant, but I think you get the point. And that's it. For right now, let's just go ahead and get your mind ready, because you know what I'm saying? Break time over, and I ain't gonna lie, I ain't ready for break time to be over. I'm sitting chilling, having a good time. I done worked myself up to a new level on my video game that I'm playing, and my traveling is outside and doing my thizzle thought that up back. But it's time to go ahead and get back to work, baby. It's time to get back to work. So let's go ahead and get to it. So yeah, let's just be prepared. We're gonna have a couple of pep talk sessions leading up to our modules, which will begin here pretty soon. But we do know it's in the middle of holiday season, so hopefully everybody's good, warm, and bundled up, cozy with your family or whatever it is that you're doing. Looking forward to providing them with an even softer life in the future. As I know I done did that for my house. I got a house full of girls, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. House full of women, you know, and I ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? We gotta, you know, I mean, we cute or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We do our little thing. We outside, you know. I might even be wearing the same outfit today I was wearing last night. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. That's the fam, wife and daughters. We outside. But yeah, man. So please go ahead and pull on up. Go ahead and get your mind right. Don't start letting me see these numbers dwindle over the course of the next few days as the modules start to come to the forefront. All right. We want to make sure we keep the same energy to get as much knowledge, as much education, as much motivation as possible, so you too can be on a rooftop somewhere in the middle, in I don't know, I think this is Europe. Yeah, I think this is Prague right here. Where's Prague? The Czech Republic, I think. Something I should have put the African. I feel kind of bad. The ancestors is tapping me on the back of the head, like, why you gonna put that up there instead of putting Ghana in there and putting my bad, I don't know. And I ain't trying to stunt, because I ain't even got it like that. But I do at least want to let folks know that this could easily lead to a life where you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, outside of tax season. And that's what I've enjoyed for the past 15 years. I cannot even imagine still working behind a desk 9 to 5 for an engineering company or a program company or any kind of company at this point. Like, I literally spent my summer just traveling. You know, I took my kids to Paris to see where the Olympics was going to be. I took them to I could not do this stuff. And it's not even that I wouldn't be able to do it financially. I couldn't take the time off. When you work behind a desk for somebody, you got to request time and you got to be back by a certain time and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? This job not only gives you financial freedom, but it gives you the freedom to enjoy your life, to live your life, to not wait till you're 65 and to have to retire to start traveling when you're no longer trying to travel, or to do things for your loved ones. It just makes it a better life. Hands down. No argument. Nobody could even try to start contesting that. And if you would, I dare you. All right. So that's all for me today, y'all. Let's go ahead and go to infinity and beyond. Kiss your loved ones today, because they will not be seeing you this tax season if you plan on making a successful one. But hey, let's go ahead and start writing down those goals. Start putting that number in the back of your head. Start knowing exactly you want to end the season with, so we can start it off right. And let's go ahead and start this thing off here pretty soon the right way, y'all. We're going to check y'all again. I think we're doing this again tomorrow at the same time, same place. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up. I believe B may be making an appearance. But yeah, we'll see you then. Let's go ahead and get these things in order on the list. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off. It's time to win, baby. Let go.